A number n is such that when it is divided by 3, 7, 11, or 13, the remainder is always 1. Find the number n. So we are supposed to first understand that there is a number n that is unknown to us, and we are supposed to look for that n. And this n is just a variable, a letter that represents a particular number. So when I say this n divided by 3, it will always give me a particular answer, and the remainder is 1. If I do the same with 7, I'll still get a particular answer as the quotient, and the remainder is 1. If I decide to use 11, I'll have n, the number I'm talking about, divided by 11 as the value given here. Then the answer must be a particular value, then the remainder is 1. If I decide to use 13, the same thing happens. So there is a number n such that when that number n is divided by n of these numbers, so if I take n divided by 3, I'll get an answer as the quotient, then the remainder will be 1. If I take the same number, then I divide by 7, I'll get an answer, then the remainder will be also 1 at the same time. So if I can decide to use this other value, which is 11, I'll have that number getting divided by 11. I'll still get an answer which is a quotient, and the remainder is again 1. If someone decides to use 13, you're going to get a particular answer as the quotient, but now the remainder will still be 1. So I'm here to get that number. So what I'm supposed to do is I'll have to get the answer to this question. So I'll be looking for the LCM of those 3 numbers. So whenever a question of this type comes to your doorstep, you're supposed to just get the LCM of those 3 values or 4 values. Then whatever you get, you're going to add that remainder. So I'll use 3, 7, 11, and 13. Because I should be looking for a common number, which is n. And remember, these values are the ones which are different from each other. But the number that we're talking about as n should be the same number that gets divided by those 3 values, 3, 7, 11, and the fourth one, which is 13. So then that must be the common value. So the LCM must work for us here, because they're looking for a particular value n that when get a question talking about dividing that number by n of these numbers, the remainder is 1. That means 1, the number must be the same or common. Next, the remainder must be the same. So we need to look for the LCM. So we are going to use 3 here. And we shall be left with 1, then 7, 11, then 13. If I use 7, I'll have 1, 1, 11, then 13. If I use 11, I'll have 1, 1, 1, then 13. If I use 13, I'll have 1, 1, 1, and 1. So I'm looking for that local oriented or common number that I'm supposed to have. So I'll be able to have 3 times 7 times 11 times 13. And I'm supposed to get a value that I'm supposed to actually end up adding 1 to get the exact number getting talked about. So we shall have 3 times 7 times 11 times 13. That gives us 3003. On top of this, I'm going to add 1, the remainder in each case. So that will give us 3004. Very good. So that becomes our number. So that when I decide to take 3004 and then I divide by 3, I should get 1001 with a remainder of 1. If I take this divided by 7, the remainder still remains 1. If I divide this by 11, the remainder will be 1. If I divide this by 13, the remainder will be still 1. So we are told that there's a number when divided by a particular list of numbers given, like this, and the remainder is also given. Just take those values, get the LCM of those values for you to get that common number that is getting talked about. Then add the remainder given in the question to that number you've actually gotten as the LCM. That gives you the final answer to that question.